What's up, guys? It is Sunday, January 29th, 7:46 a.m. We're still going here. So we got the crypto newsletter for the day. Quick little update on the charts. Bitcoin's sitting at 23,475 right now. If you watched the market update from last night, you already know what I'm expecting. So if you haven't already watched that video, watch that from last night. It's 40 minutes long, jam-packed with value. Ton of information there, learning as far as the charts goes, how the price action usually works, fractal patterns, etc. We cover a lot of coins in that. Definitely plug up with that video. And if you haven't already, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, get updated in real time when we drop these videos. We were sick the past week, so you must have felt that there wasn't as many videos coming out. Went to the doctor, he cleaned me up. Now we're back, baby. And there's a lot of making up we got to do, a ton of videos that we missed. So all throughout today, I'm going to be dishing out videos on videos. We still haven't slept yet. Like I said, we're up 36 hours a day. And one other thing, in the comments, please do not comment if you don't watch the video. I see a comment sometimes saying something totally just out of left field, and it's just because you're not watching the video. So from now on, look at the proof receipts for your comment, and if there's just a comment that is just totally out of left field, just not true, and it's just a bunch of trolling, then you're just getting blocked. We don't got time for that over here at Stargate, because we ain't getting to execute, we ain't getting into the drama, we're executing flawlessly, and we have the proof receipts to back it up. So that's that. Let's just say that. Now let's dive into it. We're going to dive into a ton of new, look at my tabs. We're going to cover this, but I'm going to break it up into sections. We're going to go section by section, probably drop like 4 newsletters today. That's just newsletters. We're going to cover charts. We're going to do deep dives. We're only getting started here. I mean, they thought they had us on the ropes. They were at the round table. They were saying, hey, we got him. We got him over there at Stargate. He's down and out, but we back, baby. Like I said, the doctor cleaned us up. So now we're good. Let's dive into it. All jokes aside, but Saudi Central Bank says ongoing CBDC experiment focused on domestic wholesale use cases. Saudi Arabia's central bank digital currency experiment, which is being carried out in conjunction with local banks and fintechs, is presently focused on domestic wholesale use cases. Meanwhile, the Saudi Minister of Finance has said CBDCs can be a fantastic tool, which can be used by developing countries as a social safety net. You know what? I think I covered this in the last newsletter. I'm going to skip that and we're going to head to this. U.S. Senate bill would require all restaurants, cafes, vending machines on Capitol Hill to accept Bitcoin payments. Next one, we got Jim Cramer. Bitcoin is being manipulated higher and I wouldn't touch it, right? Yeah, dude, that explains it very well. We know what to do, fellas and ladies. We know what to do. When Jim Cramer's coming out saying one thing, we do the opposite. So you love to see that. And that was the 27th. It's the 29th, and all we've seen is up. Bitcoin's right now over $23,500. If you watch the market video, you know what's coming. We know what we're doing. We might need to get the day trading dogs out on a Sunday. Let them out of the cage. They're hungry. They want to see those proof of gains. I feel today's the day. That's for sure. Then we got CBDCs from the hype to the how of making financial inclusion a reality, part 1. This is Ripple. And let's dive into it. I'm ready. We recently surveyed over 1,600 financial leaders across 22 countries and discovered that 37% of senior financial institution executives around the globe consider both financial inclusion and greater access to credit as the largest potential breakthroughs for CBDCs. This echoes the stated goal of many countries and central banks that are actively exploring CBDCs or that have already launched pilots. Clearly, CBDCs hold a lot of promise, but to paint a picture of a perfectly utopian digital currency-driven world without addressing the hurdles it will take to get there is not a realistic or useful approach. Implementing CBDCs is no small feat, and we'd be remiss to talk about them otherwise. That being said, it's important to take a closer look at what the real-life use cases, hurdles, implications will be, not only for us as individuals, but for society as a whole, and how we can work together to take them from hype to reality. Is financial inclusion just a buzzword? It's almost impossible to talk about CBDCs without mentioning financial inclusion. And that's why we pay attention to the buzzwords, because that is how I go about my deep dive sometimes. Just looking up a certain project and some buzzwords, boom, you find so many documents doing that. It's impossible to talk about CBDCs without mentioning financial inclusion, but lately it seems as though the term financial inclusion has become more of a buzzword than a meaningful, tangible outcome. So what does financial inclusion actually mean? Why is everyone talking about it? Here at Ripple, we define financial inclusion as making financial services available to people who don't have access to them today, and doing so in a way that is cost-effective and net financially positive for the people using those services. In this case, leveraging CBDC-enabled solutions to provide an easy way of doing things. This includes even the most basic of financial services, sending money to a friend, family member, having a secure place to store your money, etc. Not just for those in developing countries or those who are more tech-savvy, but everyone, the world, all the money. What does this actually look like in the real world? The opportunities of CBDCs are endless, but for brevity's sake, we've highlighted 3 key use cases where we see CBDCs having the biggest impact on the payments and financial landscape. Efficient and cost-effective cross-border remittances. If you watch my stellar XLM interfamily ecosystem deep ties hidden, right? We know Velo, which we discovered, and I'm going to leave it at that, is working on this as well too. We know, watch the deep dive that I just did earlier. It's insane, the connections that we made. But many countries around the world are making strides towards improving what has historically been inefficient and expensive cross-border payments. One example is the Kingdom of Bhutan and its central bank, the Royal Monetary Authority, as remittances, funds sent home by migrant workers, are an important component of their economy. The country is now turning to a CBDC solution to lower the cost and time involved in making these payments. They're taking a truly digital-first approach to solve these challenges and others as part of their financial inclusion journey. Number 2, access to peer-to-peer loans. In many parts of the world, particularly those that are still heavily cash reliant, something as simple as a peer-to-peer loan, loaning money to a friend or family member, could be made much faster, more efficient, secure with the use of a digital currency sent and received via a digital wallet. For many in today's current landscape, this simple act can take upwards of a full day or more to complete. Ability to establish credit history as the third one. In many parts of the world, citizens are unable to borrow money or take out a loan because they haven't been to establish a credit history. Typically, this boils down to geography, leaving many of those citizens unbanked, and the use of a CBDC would not only help provide a credit history, but a broader history with always-on access to resources regardless of physical location. Key hurdles to implementation going beyond the hype. Together, these CBDCs use cases can have a powerful impact on financial inclusion. Across all these use cases, however, there's a consistent set of practical hurdles to solve: education, user experience, identity, offline access, security. In this first post, we focus specifically on education and user experience. So there's a global educational gap when it comes to understanding digital currencies. That's why Stargate, we're doing what we're doing. We're trying to teach the masses and get them onto this wave before it's too late. Not only how to use them, including the possibilities, nuances, and required technical savvy, but also the why behind them. That's what Agartha teaches in the opportunity of crypto, our free accelerator program that we have on the website. I'll put that link in the bio. But we literally, the title of it is The Opportunity of Crypto. And that's like step number 1. You need to understand that. You got to know what you hold, know what you're getting into, know the trend, because then from that point on, you're just deep in the rabbit hole and you're never coming out. Onboarding people into a digital currency system who are unclear on how to use that system nor what the benefits are of using it will run the risk of low usage rates and financial exclusion for many. Boy, is Stargate going to have their work cut out for them for the next couple of years, because we got to, onboard, get them educated on this stuff. Take China's digital yuan as an example. As one of the first to pilot and test a digital currency 2 years ago, user growth is increasing, but it's currently outpacing transaction volume. This is being attributed to limited access and incentive for use among both businesses and consumers, especially when compared to their existing mobile payment systems. To help overcome this hurdle, the People's Bank of China recently approved its app to make it more customer friendly and enable more users in certain regions to sign up and start using the digital yuan. China and other regions take a similar approach. Could it take it a step further by providing basic in-app education to onboard users leveraging gamification techniques? One solution that could go a long way in getting consumers up to speed quickly. A play-to-earn model, or a learn-to-earn, that ensures people know how to use the app or digital wallet before they start handling real money and digital currencies, will be one way to ease people in, granting them further access and additional benefits as they go. Then it goes into user experience. Then let's see what's next. Or let's see this. Central bank. Oh, no. Let's go to this. A few solutions for ensuring user design accessibilities. User experience accessibility could include tying entities to mobile phone numbers to simplify password proliferation, providing apps and other end user services that can best align to specific customer needs, or providing direct programmable customer channels from central banks to end users. For example, CBDC could provide a customer channel or user-friendly app through which central bankers could quickly and easily distribute stimulus payments to ensure more widespread distribution, ease of access, and help stimulate the economy. And that's kind of what like Stellar Aid is doing with Ukraine, the United Nations, MoneyGram. And that's ultimately how this is going to get global adoption. Is there's going to be an event crisis. A lot of people are going to be, suffering, crying out for help, needing some aid. And then they already have this all set up quickly, efficiently. They try to implement that back around, February, March of 2020. And it didn't pan out, but now they're ready to go for the next time. Central banks and institutions alike, we need to create a seamless user experience to help increase user interaction with a potential CBDC platform. What's next? In our next post in this 2-part series on how to make financial inclusion a reality with CBDCs, we'll be looking at the 3 other primary hurdles to overcome in order to bring these use cases to life: identity, offline access, security. We are just beginning to scratch the surface of what a digital currency-backed system can achieve, and there's no doubt that as the technology and its many applications continue to expand and evolve, so too will our ability to understand and leverage these solutions to create a more inclusive financial system, overcoming the hurdles together as individuals, bankers, service providers, and society as a whole. And that's what it's going to do, is fundamentally reshape society. Now let's keep going. Can banks issue stablecoins? There's no law that bans U.S. banks from issuing paper or digital private banknotes. The American Institute for Economic Research senior fellow Thomas Hogan writes. So stablecoin regulation is one of the most controversial topics in crypto. Recent reports from regulators have warned that stablecoins could threaten financial stability. We've seen that. Previous proposals sought to regulate transparency, issuance, licensing of stablecoins, although no legislation has yet been passed. This debate, however, may be missing an important point. The issuance of redeemable notes by private banks in paper or electronic form appears to be already legal in the U.S., is what he's saying. Private banknotes were widely used as a medium of exchange for the majority of U.S. history. Prior to the establishment of the Federal Reserve in 1913, banks issued paper notes redeemable for the equivalent amount of some asset, usually gold. Even after the end of the gold standard in 1933, notes issued by national banks continued to circulate, dwindling to around 20 million circulation by 1970. Private banknote issuance is common practice in several countries and names them out. Electronic stablecoins are the modern analog to paper banknotes. Stablecoins are crypto tokens whose value is tied to some other assets, such as the dollar or gold. Let's go down. Legal authority. Let's see. Limited oversight. Yeah, they're going to release proposals. They're going to release bills. Moody's is releasing a stablecoin ratings kind of global thing. Yeah, so we're seeing the ball moving that. So who's coughing up crypto winner dollars for Super Bowl ads? A crypto exchange that previously told Blockworks it plans to advertise during the NFL's biggest game has changed its mind. Let's go down. Bankrupt exchange, FTX. Let's see. Canadian exchange BitBuy is set up to follow up last year's ad. Fluff. Let's keep going. Fun fact, combined assets of top 2 to 10 centralized exchanges in the world still can't match Binance. That's nuts. If Binance were to go down, that'd be big. Let's go to the next one. The world's best crypto policies, how they do it in 37 nations. What can the United States learn from regulation around the world? It goes into every single country's framework here, which is a lot. I mean, I guess they don't do all of them, but Japan's at the top of the list, and we've seen a lot about Japan kind of being the leader in this digital revolution, they're calling it. And let's see what they're saying about that. So Japan's approach to non-fungible tokens, I think the process is really thoughtful. I think they're consulting the right stakeholders. They're looking at creators. Japan is experimenting in how to set up good regulation. The Bank of Japan is basically setting up associations that will help them clarify what the crypto activities are and what the economic function of those activities are. Japan argues that Japan was the safest place to be as an FTX customer. Very good to know. John, I'm coming to see you. The UK. Let's see. We in the United States need a basic e-money law. We don't have one. Yeah, we're going to skip this. This is a lot. Let's keep going. Regulatory clarity. Financial watchdogs could not be more clear. If the past year of enforcement action shows anything, it's that financial regulators are comfortable using existing rules to investigate and prosecute crime in crypto. So in settling a lawsuit in January with the US SEC, the co-founder of crypto platform Nexo stated that he's confident that a clear regulatory landscape will emerge soon, and companies like Nexo will be able to offer value-creating products in the US in a compliant manner. Nexo's desire for regulatory clarity is far from unique. Over the past year, executives from Binance, Coinbase, Circle, and Ripple have issued similar statements, and regulatory clarity has been the buzz phrase at crypto panel discussions and happy hours. So what does it mean by regulatory clarity? The U.S. Congress has the power to draft and pass laws that direct government agencies such as the SEC and DOJ to issue rules, supervise entities, conduct enforcement with the assistance of court decisions in the rulemaking process, as well as agency guidance and precedent from enforcement actions. A picture comes into view of how those charged with enforcing the law and regulating the industry may act. Such examples include whether the CFTC may approve an application or whether facts uncovered in an investigation may lead to a prosecutor to pursue criminal charges. Nexos and the others call for regulatory clarity in its most basic form, translates to a desire for more transparency into how regulatory and law enforcement agencies will act in regards to crypto-related products and services. Then it goes down here, it names off additional things. Clarity or changes. Regulators have made clear exactly how they view Nexo's products and services. It appears what Nexo is seeking is not regulatory clarity, but regulatory changes. So Nexo, after comparing itself to Uber and Airbnb, stated that because innovators do not quite fit into existing provisions, constructive dialogue for the enhancement of the prevailing regulatory frameworks is of paramount importance. There we go. All right, let's keep going. So I covered this back a month ago, but we'll just run through it real quick as far as pioneering sustainability technologies with crypto and blockchain, how blockchain is scaling carbon markets to reach global climate goals. I mean, if you looked at the videos the past week during Davos, we covered this to a T, and they said in that video, I think it's titled, "This is like the biggest opportunity in this generation. And that's a fact. That's 100% a fact. And we're on it. We got our pulse on this. And it all plays a role. All this stuff is playing a role. One of the things that we find very important about blockchain, and specifically the XRP ledger, is the ability to differentiate and have an individuated value for carbon credits. I think that's something that's important in developing the carbon market. And we saw all that talk from the World Economic Forum about that. XRP benefits program extended by SBI holding subsidiary announced Friday that its subsidiary Morningstar will continue to offer XRP as a shareholder benefit. There we go. So we're seeing, that continued Ripple, XRP, global, even when the US is lacking, the rest of the world isn't. That's for sure. They're taking advantage. So this is Rickards has World War III begun. We'll dive into it. That's a serious question and deserves serious consideration by investors. A wave of analysis and commentators have warned that the war in Ukraine could spin out of control, escalate into World War III. Actually, the opposite is true, it says. The Russian campaign is not failing. It has been on hold for several months, awaiting the right conditions to launch a winter offensive. You just don't hear about it in the mainstream media, which is essentially a propaganda outlet for Ukraine. And the party most likely to use nuclear weapons first is the US in order to save face and destabilize Russia once Ukraine is on the brink of collapse. Reality check. Many people have a hard time believing that. They've been told that Putin is the devil incarnate and would probably likely to destroy the world. We like to think that in modern times we're sophisticated and above falling prey to propaganda. Unfortunately, it isn't true. The fact is that the US did wage the only nuclear war in history from August 6th to 9th, 1945, and had a successful outcome. I'm not getting into the morality of it here, one way or other. I'm just being objective. Either way, another nuclear war could not be contained and would be tantamount to World War III. It amounts to the same thing. My point is different, though. It's not that we may be headed to a World War III. It's already here. The issue of when wars in general and world wars in particular begin and end is not as clear-cut as many believe. There are many examples. When does a war officially begin? It's complicated. It goes into some examples. When did World War II really begin? All right, now let's go into this. The case for the start of World War III. So the case for fuzzy beginnings and endings of wars is clear. What's the case for saying World War III has already begun based on the situation in Ukraine? The first point is the number of nations directly involved. It's nonsense to say that NATO members are cheering on Ukraine from the sidelines. Those countries are directly involved in supplying weapons, intelligence, money, ammunition, boots on the ground. Polish troops are operating as mercenaries in Ukrainian uniforms. US and UK special operators are inside Ukraine supplying intelligence, weapons training, and help with logistics. Poland and Lithuania are supplying sophisticated Leopard tanks to Ukraine. The UK is preparing to supply their most sophisticated tank, the Challenger 2, as well. The US is providing Bradley fighting vehicles and Stryker armored vehicles. The US is also supplying all this stuff. Russia has been no slouch when it comes to enlisting allies and mercenaries. The Wagner Group, a privately owned mercenary army, has been on the front lines. And Russia is getting drones from Turkey and Iran, and fighters are arriving from Syria. China is providing financial support and offering technology that helps Russia to build its weapons and continue its attacks. Up the escalation ladder, physical warfighting has occurred in Poland, Belarus, Russia, Germany. There's also been naval battles on the Black Sea. Of course, a long list of countries are providing support for Ukraine by participating in US and EU-led financial and economic sanctions. The countries now directly involved in the war in Ukraine with weapons, money, intelligence, mercenaries, or financial sanctions include the US, UK, Germany, France, Poland, Lithuania, Canada, Australia, Ukraine, Russia, China, Syria, Iran, Turkey, Japan, Romania, Belarus, and Moldova. These countries span 4 continents. The economic ramifications are global. If this is not a world war, it's not clear what is. The Third World War is here. It may be the 1937 stage rather than the 1941 stage. Let's hope that status prevails. It will likely not. Importantly for investors, this war is not close to a conclusion. It is far more likely to expand in terms of affected nations, financial sanctions, and kinetic warfare. The danger of escalation to a nuclear exchange is real and it's growing. Will anyone stop before it's too late? Also, the doomsday clock is like 30 seconds away from midnight. Yep, it seems like that's the case here. Ooh. And then we got this, which is weird as well too. All this stuff going on. What do we have here? Let me guess. Another glitch. So, and I double checked this and I'll even pull it up right here. So on the right side, it's true. $0 to gold ratio now. I remember I had pulled this up maybe a couple weeks ago and these were running fine. There was no problem here. But we're seeing some things freeze. We're seeing zeros on that. And it could be game, set, match. It's weird. There's just too many coincidences lining up right now. California DMV to digitize car title management systems via Tezos. Tezos is, people will sleep on it. Bitcoin's taking off right now, 23,650. Ready to make new all-time highs, it's looking like. What time is it, 8:10? I'm going to have to get in that day trading dogs, going to gather the Star Gang. California Department of Motor Vehicles is testing out the digitization of car titles and title transfers via private Tezos blockchain. The move is part of a collaboration between California DMV, Tezos, and a blockchain software firm, Oxhead Alpha, with the latter announcing a successful proof of concept. So, Tezos is definitely linked up with government contracts, institutional contracts. I like Tezos. And U.S. security regulators probe Wall Street over crypto custody. According to sources, the regulators have been probing registered investment advisors over how they've offered crypto custody to their clients. So it looks like the SEC's, on the prowl again, man. This guy, something else. Let's keep going. We got SEC commissioner calls for a consistent legal framework for not just crypto, all asset classes, including crypto. And that might be the move, just an overhaul of the whole entire overall framework and just add a little bit of verbiage that matches, virtual or private current digital assets, whatever it may be. And then boom, you got regulatory clarity, a framework. So it says, she called for a coherent, consistent legal framework that works across all asset classes, including crypto assets. She warned that the SEC's current enforcement-centric approach would take 400 years to go through all the crypto tokens that are allegedly securities. And then there was an interview here. Commissioner Pierce is not the only one who's concerned about the SEC enforcement. We know Tom Emmer is on him about this. Let me see. Crypto regulation is not easy to do well. If crypto institutions are treated like regular depository institutions, requiring heavy layers of capital and lots of legal staffing, crypto innovation is likely to dwindle. It's such like a charade going on. It's crazy. It's like you can't figure this out by now. There's definitely politics going on behind the scenes. Then we're paying around like $1 trillion a year on interest expense for the U.S. government. So there's another article that I have here saying that they can't keep the federal funds rate for too long here. Given this chart going parabolic, they're kind of digging their own hole. So either they're going to let the whole system implode and they know that, or they're going to reverse gears last second here and it'll be the biggest kind of fake out recession depression fears of all time. And then I think we're going to go into a massive mega cycle. It'll be the roaring 20s, but generation later. Then we got Wall Street warns the riskiest U.S. debt limit showdown since 2011. We're going to skip this. The world has a major debt problem. Is a reset coming? The world has a major debt problem. Is a reset coming? CNN. The world is in debt. The world is in debt. A record amount of debt, $300 trillion to be exact. That's the total amount that governments, households, corporations around the world owed in June 2022 as estimated by the Institute of International Finance. Nuts. Here's the article. So higher interest rates are already hurting governments and corporations with low credit ratings. Low income households are struggling with the rising cost of credit card, mortgage, and auto debt. If debt accumulation continues and central banks continue their rate hikes, that burden and fears of recession will also grow. Bitcoin stages a comeback. Okay, let's keep going. White House publishes crypto policy roadmap saying it would be a grave mistake to encourage mainstream institutions to adopt Bitcoin. They're scared. I mean, I already got the email from Fidelity saying I can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum now on my retail brokerage account. They're already doing it. So either they're getting ready, what I believe is they're getting ready to drop some regulations maybe around March or April, and then it's going to be positive, and we're going to see a lot of big brands, Amazon, etc., come out publicly with their Web3 plans. And then think about when Tesla started announcing it. Then you're going to see when Amazon comes out saying, hey, we're going all in on this, kind of like how we went all in on the chain trade. Man, you're going to see a flood, people run into the space, interest come back, and just kind of fear of missing out on all angles, other companies, individuals, etc. All right, then also too, Cardano stablecoin DJED will go live next week. That could lead to a little bit of a Cardano pump, definitely, but we're going to keep going. Tony Valentino is back with none other than, I think it's called a gavel or some court gavel, slam it down, case closed, right? Tony Valentino, remember that conspiracy video way back? Everything's gone now, and it looks like just a picture of that posted 2 days ago. So he's back in action. Now let's go here. So they had the webinar, What is a Digital Pound Really Useful For? It's available on YouTube if you wanted to watch it. The link is in the Stargate Discord under Stargate Tweets. You can come join it here. I'll put the link in the bio to come join. But yeah, I'm not going to dive through that. I haven't gone through the webinar, but I'm sure there was some key nuggets in there. Then we have this. The Bank of International Settlements, BIS, in coordination with the Bank of England, is moving to phase 2 of their UK CBDC API project. If you're not convinced Quant is involved here, you're simply not paying attention. UK's CBDC API project invites participants for next phase. Applications close on February 10th. There'll be a tech sprint through March. Project Rosalind aims to develop prototypes of an API platform. The API could best enable a central bank ledger to interact with payment interface providers. The project aims to explore interoperability between different systems and different forms of money. Privacy, FAPI, ISO 222, account-based versus token-based. The project will not explore resilience, performance, cybersecurity, throughput, efficiency, legal, regulatory policy, AML, or CTF. Interesting stuff. So Quant, and I mean, a lot of XRP holders probably hold Quant too. So here's that, because I showed you that the US came out with this thing, and then here's the report. The administration's roadmap to mitigate cryptocurrencies risks. 2022 was a tough year for cryptocurrencies. I'm going to run through this, and this will be the end, and then I'll do a follow-up newsletter, and we'll get through all these, that's for sure. So 2022 was a tough year for cryptocurrencies. In May, so-called stablecoin imploded, prompting a wave of insolvencies. Just months later, a major crypto exchange collapsed. Many everyday investors who trusted crypto companies, including young people and people of color, suffered serious losses, but thankfully turmoil in the cryptocurrency markets has had little negative impact on the broader financial system to date. While cryptos might be relatively new, the behavior we have seen some crypto companies exhibit and the risks posed by this behavior are not. As an administration, our focus is on continuing to ensure that cryptocurrencies cannot undermine financial stability, to protect investors, and to hold bad actors accountable. At President Biden's direction, we have spent the past year identifying the risks of cryptos and acting to mitigate them using the authorities that the executive branch has. First, experts across the administration have laid out the first ever framework for developing digital assets in a safe, responsible way while addressing the risks they pose. To be sure, the technologies powering cryptocurrencies may offer ways to make payments faster, cheaper, and safer. But this framework identifies clear risks. For example, some cryptocurrency entities ignore applicable financial regulations and basic risk controls, practices that protect the country's households, businesses, and economy. In addition, cryptocurrency platforms promoters often mislead consumers, have conflict of interest, fail to make adequate disclosures, or commit outright fraud. And there's poor cybersecurity across the industry that enabled the Democratic People's Republic of Korea to seal over $1 billion to fund its aggressive missile program. Second, agencies are using their authorities to ramp up enforcement where appropriate and issue new guidance where needed. The banking agencies issued joint guidance just this month on the imperative of separating risky digital assets from the banking system. Agencies across government have launched or are now developing public awareness programs to help consumers understand the risks of buying cryptos. We encourage regulators to continue these efforts, including those designed to address and limit financial institutions' exposure to the risk of digital assets. But the events of the past year underscore that more is needed. Agencies have redoubled their efforts to fight fraud, including the proliferation of false or misleading claims about crypto assets being insured by the FDIC. And while the U.S. is already a global leader in fighting money laundering and terrorist financing, enforcement agencies are devoting increased resources to combating illicit activities involving digital assets. In the coming months, so that verbiage there, and then plus what Amazon said about April, or rumored to be April, insiders saying they're going to make a big kind of announcement, letting it be known they're stepping into Web3 full force. Then also, I was talking to somebody who works at Fidelity, and Fidelity is expanding their digital asset unit over the next coming months here. And they want to be doing that if there was going to be negative regulatory clarity that comes out. They're expanding their digital asset team because they know the influx that is about to come in due to positive regulation. So there's a lot of things lining up for March, April, May-ish timeframe as far as regulation comes out. We'll have to see. So in the coming months, the administration will also unveil priorities for digital assets research and development, which will help the technologies powering cryptocurrencies protect consumers by default. Congress too needs to step up its efforts. For example, Congress should expand regulators' powers to prevent misuses of customers' assets, which will hurt investors, distort prices, and to mitigate conflicts of interest. Congress also strengthen transparency and disclosure requirements for cryptocurrency companies so that investors can make more informed decisions about financial and environmental risks. To aid law enforcement, it could strengthen penalties for violating illicit finance rules and subject cryptocurrency intermediaries to ban against tipping off criminals. It could fund greater law enforcement capacity building, including with the international partners, and it could limit cryptocurrency's risks to the financial system by following the steps outlined by the Financial Stability Oversight Council in its recent report, including addressing the risk of stablecoins. While congressional action in these areas would be welcome, Congress could also make our jobs harder and worsen risk to investors into the financial system. Legislation should not greenlight mainstream institutions like pension funds to dive headlong into crypto markets. In the past year, traditional financial institutions' limited exposure to cryptocurrencies has prevented turmoil in cryptocurrencies from infecting the broader financial system. It'd be a grave mistake to enact legislation that reverses course and deepens the ties between cryptos and the broader financial system. The administration wholeheartedly supports responsible technological innovations that make financial services cheaper, faster, safer, and more accessible. Yet, to realize these benefits, new technologies need commensurate safeguards. Safeguards will ensure that new technologies are secure and beneficial to all, and that the new digital economy works for the many, not just the few. To put the right safeguards in place, we'll keep driving forward the digital assets framework we developed while working with Congress to achieve these goals. Big, big, big. That's it, guys. It's it for this video. Part 1 of catching up with the news. There's a whole lot of it. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, get updated real time when we drop like 1 million videos today, basically. And leave a comment. Let me know what you want me to cover. I'm going to do a couple market updates as well, too. I'll check out certain coins you want me to check out, and I'll put the Stargate signals on it, and we'll see where they're at. So come join the Discord as well. Link in the bio. Come in there, say what up. I'll say what up, too, and I'll see you in the next video.